Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
Hi. It is Tuesday, the last Tuesday of July, which means it is time for a live discussion. Uh, if you are new here or you're just joining in, we are Double Booked Co. This is our book club. We've been doing it for a couple years now. I think this is the fifth year.
Yeah, I'm never quite sure. I think it is the fifth.
I'm never sure either.
Yeah.
It feels like it's always like, oh, we've only done it like once or twice. But no, I think it's been like
Yeah.
5 years. Some of you have been with us since the very beginning. Some of you are just joining us, but we do our book club gatherings twice a month, first and last Tuesday. So it's actually 2 weeks in a row, but it's the first and last Tuesday of the month. The first Tuesday being our reading sprints, where we start our book of the month, and the last Tuesday of the month where we finish and discuss our book of the month. And July's book of the month, Valley of the Dolls by Jacqueline, I think it's Susann?
Suzanne. Yeah.
Susann.
Mhm.
So this is the book of the month. This was a birthday pick, so it was for my birthday. I decided that that was the book that I wanted to read, and I have yet to figure out why I put this on my TBR. I know I saw it in something or I heard it in something, and I was like, oh, I'll add that to my want to read, and the rest is history. So I still have no idea why I picked that book. But anywho, we'll find out if I enjoyed it or not. For next month, so we'll quickly share the next month's read. So in August, we did do our poll and we pulled from the 3 book picks that thankfully Andy provided to us. Thank you, Andy. And we are reading Marjorie Morningstar by Herman, is it Walk?
I always thought it was woke, but I haven't looked it up, so I don't know.
Okay, by that author.
Yeah.
So this
Herman.
is a book that was written in the 50s. So we are reading through the decades and we are still chugging along. We are going to be reading from the 50s there in August, and then September will be the 40s, 30s, and then 20s as we finish in November. So very exciting. I can't believe we're almost to the end of the year with our reading, but there you have it. So before we get into our reading, I just wanted to briefly mention, because I know a few of you have reached out to me or us since yesterday. If you don't know, Double Booked Co., we are a Wisconsin business. Both Laura and I live in the state of Wisconsin, and if you are familiar with what happened yesterday in Wisconsin, there was a very significant tornado that came through the Fox Cities area and really devastated the city of Menasha. I live in that area, and thankfully, my family were able to shelter in place and really kind of had just the storm side of it and not the actual like funnel cloud, like not the actual tornado. Where I live, the tornado really touched down more towards the south side of the town that I live in, and I actually live on the north side. So we really got the outer extent of the storm. So we just had minor debris and a brief power outage. So thankfully, my family was fortunate. I do have friends that live in Menasha, and we've been checking in on them. There's been a lot of efforts to help the people in Menasha, very large efforts, and the city is working very hard to get everybody where they need to be and to get people back on track. So I want to thank everyone who has reached out. We appreciate you. Laura lives in a completely different area, and she's safe as well. So I just want to thank everyone who reached out and just know that we are safe and we are doing what we can in our area to help our neighbors. So past that, I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that so that no one was worried, but obviously I'm here. So, anywho, let's jump in. I have a feeling that this is going to be a pretty interesting discussion because this was a very I this book. Okay, so let's dive right on in and do what we do best, and that is let's rate this book first. The first thing we always do, get it out of the way. If you were to rate this book out of five, so 1 through 5, 5 being amazing, what would be your rating, your overall thoughts?
I'm giving this like a 2 or a 2.5. I just didn't, it didn't really do anything for me. It's very readable. I think it's too long, but you know, the book is the book. Um, I don't know. It was okay. It was okay. It was a book and I read it and I'm glad to have read it. And I don't think I'll ever pick it up again. Not in a mean way. I just like, okay, I read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yep. What did you think?
I gave it 5 stars.
Good. You picked it. You should give it 5 stars.
I know, and I think that's what's really great about reading is that everyone is going to have a different, like every book is going to impact someone differently. It's going to hit someone differently, and I think that's fantastic. So I'm surprised that we are so off because usually we're pretty close.
Yeah, we usually starve each other,
but
you know.
Yeah, I did think it was long at a certain point, and then when I got to the very end, I was like, nah, I think I'm good. I think that's a good length. Like I think this worked. Um, and I think honestly, I think since I did that 40 before 40 challenge, I have been giving way more 5 stars because I think I have been putting a lot more thought in like the actual book as a whole as far as like how much it like shocked me or impacted my thought or how much I related to it. I've been a lot nicer in my ratings, I think.
That's
Um because maybe last year I would have only given this like a 4 or maybe a 3, but I don't know. I'm giving it a 5. It looks like Andy, which thank you, Andy. We had completely neglected our comments here.
hi.
Hello, Andy. It's so nice to see you. We are very excited as well, and we hope that seeing it is one of your picks that it is good because
You got good taste.
thank you. Yeah. Okay, getting to this one. So Andy gave it a 4, and I would be interested. I don't know if you heard Allie's few, because she's not quite yet done. I have a feeling that she's gonna be closer to your rating.
Okay.
Just the way that she didn't really give too much in that area of like her feelings, but just the way she was talking, I was like, I bet this is gonna be a lower score for her. Um, cool gamer, thank you
Hello.
for coming in. It's always so nice to see you. Hope you enjoyed tonight's discussion. It was too long. It was soap opera like. Yeah, I found it entertaining. It did have that very theatrical feeling to it. Like I feel like while I was reading it, I was like watching a movie. Like that's how I felt. And I didn't know if that was because it was centered in the film industry or if I it just read that way for me, but yeah, very much. I did not have the audiobook. It was annoying.
I tried and I was okay at first when she was talking about Anne. Laverne Cox is the narrator, by the way. So
Okay.
when she was doing Anne at the start, it was fine. And then she started doing all the men, and then everyone sounded the same. And I couldn't after a while. So it was, I mean, yeah, that was tough. It was tough.
Yeah, I purely read it. Like, so it was
Which for
a
you is huge because you don't read, like, read much. Is there
thanks.
audio?
I'm just kidding.
No, but you know what I mean? Because you're an audio all the time.
I do have to read a
As a
lot of
kid.
audiobooks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the reason I don't read a lot of physical books right now is because I don't have the time to
Yep.
be like I can't just read something, whereas on audio I can do other things. But what was nice about this book is when my kids got their downtime, they have like tablet time during the day and they actually like leave me alone during that time. I was able to read during that time and not get distracted. And this book was so readable in the sense that like my mind wasn't constantly going somewhere else. So this book, thankfully, it was like consumable enough for me that I was able to just like sit down and read it. I think I read it in probably like 4 good sittings. Like yesterday I read like I think it was like the last half of the book. I just sat down and I read it and my kids were just hanging out because once the storm passed, we all were kind of like we're just gonna like hunker inside and like wait until we see what happens. And we just all kind of chilled and I just picked up my book and finished it. Yeah. Huh. Okay. So let's jump into some of our questions here. And the way that we're going to do it this evening, because we have these POVs for the book, we have these distinct sections, I would say, instead of chapters. Let's go ahead and break up our questions per character. And we're going to start tonight's discussion with Jennifer. So Jennifer is the kind of showgirlish character. She's known for her looks. And we meet her through the Broadway show. What was it called? Hit the Sky or something like that.
Yeah.
She's one of the dancers, and she kind of talks with Anne at some point. But let's talk about her for a little bit. What were your first impressions of Jennifer, and did they change throughout the novel?
I mean, I liked her. I wish that we saw more of her in general. She's the one we saw the least, obviously. But she seemed like a decent person. Like she always seemed very kind and very nice. And as much as you could with the characters in the world that this novel sets, she seemed the most grounded and least, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. She seemed, I'm going to say less than sane. And I mean that kindly, because she is like, but she realizes she's beautiful, but she thinks she's too stupid and she can't do anything. She realizes that her value to make money is in her looks. And then you have her mother, who is just like grabby constantly, like an endless gaping maw of need, money mostly, and snobby and all that stuff. So then you have her yapping in her ear, and I don't know. I feel badly for everybody in this book in different ways, but I do feel bad for her. And the whole like end, I won't say it in case no one has finished their watching, but like how things wrap up for her was like, come on, like. But also her husband, were they married at the end? I don't remember if they were married or not.
The senator?
Yeah. No, they
were going to get married. The stuff that happened at the end of her portion of the book.
Yeah.
She was there as like a quick thing to do, like a quick check-in before they were going to get married.
That's right. So like his relationship with her, like he seemed nice enough and it seemed okay, but then the way he talked to her and how he treated her,
yes,
I was gagging. Like
at very end, yeah.
No. So I just thought like she got the bummest rap out of everybody to a certain extent. I don't know. I liked her. I felt bad for her more than I felt bad for anybody else in the book.
Yeah.
But what did you think? Did you like her?
So when we first met Jennifer, I thought she was just going to be like this ditzy, like Marilyn Monroe kind of character where it was going to be kind of like a shell of a woman, and it's just like the body, and that she was just going to kind of like drift in and out because, I'm one of those people where I'm like, how many more pages to the next chapter? When I saw like the first one was like 160 pages, I'm like, okay, if this is 160 pages, how much do we get from each character? So I just kind of
Mhm.
perused through and just looked at how many pages each character got, and I did notice that she had the least amount.
Mhm.
And so I was like, okay, so do we care about this character? So when we finally like meet her, where she speaks to one of our other characters, and then we get her POV, I was starting to realize quickly that she was like the major people pleaser. Like everyone considers Anne the people pleaser of this book, but it's really Jennifer. Like
Yeah,
she's the
I
people
agree.
pleaser because she even has that relationship with was her name Maria or something like that?
Marissa?
Yeah, she has a
Mar
relationship with her
I know.
in Paris or wherever they are,
Oh,
or excuse
Maria.
me,
Maria.
yeah, in Spain or something.
Yep.
And she even thinks to herself like she like has to get away from her because she realizes like she's not even interested in her sexually or emotionally, but she just wants her to like her in a sense of like friendship and ne wants to be needed in a way that she hasn't been needed before because like you said with the mother and like she hasn't been properly loved, so she's finding love wherever it's being given, but then she's slowly realizing that it's not the love that she wants. It's not proper love because she's not actually giving back. And I think too what was really interesting because then when she started like her true POV too, when she was like doing all these like husband hunting, I was like, oh, she's a gold digger. Like
Mhm.
she just wants to find a rich husband, which she specifically stated. I mean, that's why
Yeah.
she wanted to marry Tony so badly. And when you hear about that, and then they're um, the whole like you can do anything once we're married, and then just how that kind of I was like, this is really like super cringe. Like I don't understand why this is so weird. Like this is really bad. And then so my thought there too is like what is her deal? And then with the whole like all the abortions, I'm like this is really starting to piss me off with this character. Like she does not understand like her ethical duty in life. Like, you need to take better care of
Yeah.
yourself
Well,
because
nobody
this
does in this
isn't
book, but
just
yeah.
like, yeah, like this is like a lot of things with her. I was so frustrated because, like you said, like I did feel bad for her because she well just kept trying, but like in all the wrong places, and she really didn't have talent. She really didn't have
Right.
what just all she had were looks. Like it was just the looks that got
Mhm.
her everywhere, and just like the men who followed that and were just so enamored by that sexuality that she was able to do certain things and yeah, so I did feel bad for her, but I also like I felt like she didn't properly take care of herself. She just
Well, she had no idea how, really.
no. Yeah. So I did feel bad. I did feel bad for her. There's a question later that I think we've been touching on this whole time, but we'll kind of go to it now. But like looking back, do you think she had the novel's greatest tragedy? Like, was she the most tragic character of the three? And just based on her end, because and specifically because what happened literally that caused that ending, I feel like she did because at the end she was so happy. Someone finally loved her for her, yada, yada, yada. And then in that one moment, it literally all dissolved.
Yeah.
My heart broke for her. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. And I said, all men, all of them suck. They're all
Mhm.
terrible. Every single man in this entire book is a pig. Like, I was like, what the hell is
Mhm.
wrong with these people? Like, which I think that's the whole point. I mean, that's the whole
Right.
point. It is the whole point. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, does she have the most tragic? does she have the most tragic storyline? I kind of feel like she does, because I feel like she wasn't prepared mentally for the life that she ended up taking on. I don't feel like she was ever fully loved the way she should have been. And I think that her addiction with the dolls felt minor in it like if you were to like compare all their addictions, right, with these dolls, the whole point of the book, dolls being these prescription pills. Obviously Neely is the winner of the
Yeah,
terrible,
by
like
a mile.
complete overboard addiction. And then I think it's Jennifer, and then Anne. Not to say that any of them are in a good place with that, but like looking back, like I think Neely's is so intense and such a huge factor of her storyline that I can't even specifically recall Jennifer's. Hers is more she's all because she couldn't sleep.
Yeah, it
Hers
was
was all
pretty
sleeping
casual.
related, right? Yeah.
She had some, it was Demerol, and that wasn't on second, I can't remember. But she
But
was
that
like,
was all Neely. Jennifer was mostly
but
the
Jennifer had two of them, but it was mostly about sleeping. So she had one for sleeping, and then I think one was to keep her figure, but it was, she didn't take that one that much or something, but it was mostly about sleeping.
yeah.
Because she was like, I have this, and then I also have these other ones, but I mostly use this. When she gave it to me the first time, and I was like, oh, that's how Neely got hooked on them, was because Jennifer was like, oh, and I know a guy
Yeah.
who will just build whatever. So Neely was like, aha, you know. And then the studios went out with Neely, and they were like, oh, excellent, you know.
Yeah.
But it was mostly sleeping, yeah.
That's right. Because she couldn't sleep. She couldn't sleep. She couldn't sleep because Mommy Dearest kept calling about getting money. And I'm thinking, girl, I don't even know where your mommy lives, but I'm pretty sure you have left the nest.
Right.
And in the 40s, no, this was in
Yeah.
the 60s. In the 60s, there ain't cell phones. You
Oh
guys are
no, they'll
doing
collect.
you're calling collect, you're sending wires, you're mailing letters still at this point. So just forget about it. Like that sounds really cruel. But when you have a family like that, no, done.
I know,
Goodbye.
but she's such a people pleaser.
Lose
Like,
my number.
I know, she's such a people pleaser. She's the worst one, and that's the
Mhm.
only kind of love she's ever gotten from her mother. Only kind of attention is that kind of need. And I have a friend who you also know slightly who has a similar situation, and it makes me irate that this person is just a doormat for whatever the other one wants to roll off. And it's like, okay, and I see how this person that I know cannot get away from this, get out of it, sees an issue with most of
Yeah.
it. Like it's just, so I was just like, oh, I know that relationship exactly. She's screwed. Like that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Because I think when you see the dynamic of like, because there's a lot to unwrap with this book, with these three women. Because the addiction side, it's not just a product of, oh, we're in the industry now, so we need to make sure that we can sleep and that we're thin and that we're peppy and that no. All three of these women had family history, like issues going in. So Jennifer has this crazy family, like messed up family. So what, her dad died. She has a stepdad. Her mom is a total like mooch, and the brother or something. So she like it kind of reminds me of like this is going to sound so terrible, but you think of like that trailer trash, like then becomes movie star. It's very, that Hollywood story of like came from nothing, and then
It
like you have
reminds me
this
of,
family that you don't want to tell anybody about
yeah,
because, you know,
it reminds me of Anna Nicole Smith to a certain extent.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. That's see, when I was reading Jennifer's character, I was thinking like that Marilyn Monroe. Like, what was her name? Norma.
Norma Jean Baker.
Yeah, like you just have these like people who come from nothing, but and when you and then they try to say nothing about their background because it's, they're from, from like Iowa, and they don't,
Mm-hmm.
like there's nothing wrong with coming from Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but like for Hollywood, it's, you got to be from a prestigious family and all these things, and even in New York too, like the whole New Englander thing, like whose family's marrying into who. Like this was still very prominent during this time. So for her, yeah, it was a total, I got Marilyn Monroe feels for her. And yeah, I felt bad for her at that. I was so happy when she was like, "Oh, I'm finally in love and he loves me and he's this guy." And
Mm-hmm.
you know, and when she mentioned like the first time they were intimate, I was like, "Ooh, I don't know
I know.
about this. Something's a little bit fishy there. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
a little bit too much. Like I don't know."
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then at the very end, I was like, "Okay, well, there we go. My
Confirmation.
suspicions
Gross.
were
Yeah.
correct. What a
Gross.
disgusting pig." Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um. So yeah, Jennifer. Kind of touched on this, but how do we think about how her character kind of emphasized that role that we see, how women have to remain beautiful? I mean, even in our reality, we still see this today. I mean, we're stepping away from it in certain areas, but
Yeah.
are we really, like,
I know. There's a lot. I think a lot of hard. I'm going to say hard work. Not that there hasn't been hard work before to work against that. Like if you're not affable, then you don't mean anything in society. I think we've made what seems like at least more widespread progress, even if it's just like a degree or two up. But it seems like it's a bigger consciousness now than maybe it has been previously for whatever reason. Um, but I think for Jennifer, because she is such a, I'm going to say surfacey person, but not to say she doesn't have feelings or she isn't a whole person, because she is a whole person, but because she was treated so poorly by her family, she never really knew what it was like to be loved or accepted for herself, except for her friendship really with Anne, because Neely, whatever. So that was really the only friendship she had. She thought she fell in love with Tony, and then she left immediately, just bounced and went to France and spent like a long time there. A lot of her like growing up years, where I think because it's such a different culture, obviously it's a whole different continent, it's a whole different world. And she's separated from everyone she ever knew, except for, I'm sure, her greedy mother. But like she was just on her own, doing her own thing for such a long time, with like no friends except for her essentially abuser, who hired her to make all these softcore films, which is how she made her money, which is all based on beauty and everything. But she was just by herself. She had no support system at all, no women around her at all. It was just this man who used her for how she looked. So that just like got cemented so much for her. Like that was her whole deal, is like, she's got to be beautiful. That's her value. She already had that push on her by her family. And she kind of knew, like, yeah, I'm maybe not the smartest thing in the box, but I know I'm beautiful. And then that just, because she just removed herself from her contacts, her base, any kind of anything, it just sort of stayed that way. And then it just kept because of all the circumstances. So when she does come back, it's like she's sort of stunted. It seemed to me like she never really kind of got a chance to grow up and keep contact with friends and talk to them often and have that touchstone of like, what are you doing with this person? And this guy doesn't seem right. Are you happy? Like, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. She had none of that. So she just
yeah,
got to stay that like beautiful little thing. And that was it. That was her whole vibe, was that.
yeah.
So it's just, yeah, it's really, that is her whole story, is you have to remain beautiful or like, that's it.
Well, not only that, but she was also pretending to be like 5, 6, 7 years younger than she
Right.
was. So
Right.
she had to remain even more beautiful
Mm-hmm.
because she had to maintain that lie
Yeah, and I
so
forgot
that
about
she could
the
get
forced surgery
the,
too.
yeah,
Like,
get the endorsements or whatever that she needed. Because I think there's the parallel though, because for Jennifer, she needed to remain beautiful in order to book anything, right? Because that was the only thing she had. She did not have talent. She couldn't act, she couldn't sing, she couldn't dance, she couldn't do any of those things. The only thing she was basically the beauty, right? Whereas Neely, when Neely gains all that weight towards the end, they're like, oh, it's okay because she's got talent. They'll come to hear her sing. So there's that weird, like, juxtaposition between those two thoughts because, okay, is beauty important or isn't it? So is it the talent that's important? And because there's no talent, then you have to have something else, and that something else is beauty.
Right.
If you're talented, you don't have to be that beautiful, but if you aren't talented, then you got to have looks. So it's interesting that each character has a little bit of a different thing going for them, and it's not just like black and white across the board. I thought that was interesting as well. Let's shift gears and jump into Neely's head for a little bit. And before we get this, let's backtrack and just talk about her in general. What were your thoughts when you first met her and then towards the end of her storyline?
I mean, they're all three women need love of some different variety, right? They're so desperate for love. I mean, Neely for me is just all gas, no brakes. She kind of had to hit the brakes, like she came up with like some quicksand or something when she was forced in treatment for all that time. As soon as she was out, man, all gas, no brakes once again. Like, that's just her. She never had anyone to try and hold her back or rein her in because was she orphaned or
So
she was fostered, right?
She was fostered, but then her sister took her out and
that's right.
was
and
her
then
main provider. Yeah.
Immediately when she was 7, she was doing vaudeville acts. So she had no childhood. She was just working immediately and like, again, all gas, no brakes. So it was just, that's it. I think she totally was destined for self-destruction. I was hoping she could turn it around because she didn't bust out. She didn't let Anne talk her out of it. She couldn't talk her way out of everybody else that was there in this treatment facility. I thought, okay, maybe she'll turn it around because it's not just like a week or 2 or 30 days like she thought. But nope, worse than before. So yeah, I think 100%, which is unfortunate. I hoped she wouldn't, but no, yeah. What did you think?
I think that I was most surprised by the train wreck that was Neely.
Yeah.
And I think the reason for and it really should not have been surprising because of most of the things that you said, like her upbringing and everything. But I think so when you first meet her, I'm just like, okay, this chick's annoying because she's just like this kid. She's like this 17-year-old kid.
Yeah.
She's like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. She won't shut the F up. She's always in Anne's space. And to me, even though Anne was 20, so young still, like a kid, they're not much difference in age. She always was very sophisticated and just felt older to me. So like I never really like she kept saying she was 20. I was like, oh, that's right. She's only 20 because she just read so much older. But Neely, I was like, girl, you need to calm down, okay? And so when everything was just like, oh my gosh, I'm not me. Oh, but I can do it. I guess I can try. No, I don't have a voice, and I was just like, okay, she's just happy to be here. So I was so pleased for her when she was getting these opportunities because I was like, oh, that's so nice, and she's gonna go. I hope she gets a chance, and. Like, so when she gets the chance and she gets all these things, I was like, I feel like she's really going to make it. She's going to do okay because it felt like at that moment, she was the most grounded of all of the women because she's just like, I just want to make pictures. I just want to sing. I just want to blah, 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 blah. Like, and like was just happy to be there. But like you said, full bore, like going crazy. I just want someone to love me. I want to get married and have babies and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, she's got a good head on her shoulders. She'll be fine. And when Jennifer came over, and sat by the pool with her, and Mel was there, you know, her love of her life, Mel, and she was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, F him. I'm sleeping with this other dude," and blah blah blah. I
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, girlfriend. What happened to New York Neely,
Yeah.
who was all
Oh,
like,
God.
yeah, so happy and like loyal and in love, and all of a sudden you have this guy who makes clothes and you're banging in the dressing room, and like, and then for her too to just so far dive, like so, like dive so far
So fast,
off
too.
and fast, like I need to lose weight, which the like the numbers, I was just
No.
like, oh my Lord,
Hmm.
what are you talking about?
Right.
So the the diet pills and the sleeping pills and the caffeine pills and the shots that she was taking and the
Hmm.
scotch she was drinking. I was like, this is Judy Garland. Like,
Yep.
oh my gosh.
100%.
Like, and then, and what killed me with her was the twins.
I knew that would bother you
There
the
was no
whole
mention of
time.
any motherly affection from this
Hmm.
child. From a child who was basically orphaned, fostered, then plunked into her sister's family, discarded by her brother-in-law, and was basically has friends as found family, to just completely like disregard. And then when she's talking to whomever, Anne, whoever was having, oh, just give him to the nursemaid. Just do this. Just so,
Hmm.
oh, it's just a fever. I was just like, girl, I'm gonna punch you. Like
Hmm.
that, I felt was so, that right there, I knew when she like, when that chapter opens up and she missed their first birthday, I was like, I'm done with this character. She's gone off the deep end. She's done. She literally she can't come back from this. You can't come back from this. So, yeah, oh my gosh. Was she destined for self-destruction? I think any therapist or psychologist would say yes.
Hmm.
She was not set up for success from the start.
Right.
So, any little influence was going to get her. And it did. Because all Jennifer had to say was, oh, you're not getting any sleep? Oh, I take these little whatever pills or whatever. You
Hmm.
got to get. Oh, I can just ask the studio. They already have me on diet pills. Oh, it's that easy. You
Hmm.
can just get this stuff from anywhere, which during that time and even now, you can in
Hmm.
Hollywood. And so I was just, because she was so easy to influence. She just so naive and so, I don't think anybody ever thought about consequences.
Oh,
No
no.
one ever was like, is this addictive? Is
Nope.
this whatever? I mean, they're all drinking when they're pregnant. They're taking
Hmm.
pills when they're pregnant. I mean, and obviously science has evolved. Medical information has evolved. So I mean, I could look it up and see at what point in time did the Surgeon General say, shouldn't smoke when you're pregnant, you shouldn't drink when you're pregnant, you should,
Right.
like, I doubt it was during this time because I can't say that the author would have let all three of these women do this. But maybe people do that. I mean, they do. I guess they do. But
Hmm.
I just knew right then and there when she just did not really feel all that bad and she just kept drinking and kept taking her pills. I was like, okay, so nothing is going to stop you, even being a mother. Because, people have these come to God moments where they're
Sometimes.
like,
Sometimes.
whoa, whoa, like, I'm really, maybe I really need to, like, evaluate my
Hmm.
life. When did any of these women do that? When?
Nope.
Never.
Hmm.
Even Neely, who ends up in a sanatorium, never at one point goes, you know what? You kind of got away from me there.
Yeah,
I
no,
kind of
never.
never. It's everyone else's fault. It's
Yeah.
everyone else's fault. And how far? along after she gets out did it all wrap right back to one.
Yeah, within like a year and a half, I think, once she was sprung, because she was, how long was she there for? Like 6 months or something? She's in
I think it
treatment.
was probably a full year. I think it was like a
It was a
full
long
year.
time. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
long time, and that's why I thought, well, maybe she'll have a chance now, because it was such a long time, and she was so
I
out.
was like, yeah, I was
Like,
so pumped
okay,
for her because
we'll
she
see.
was like fat and happy and like, let's do this and I have nothing to lose
Yeah,
and
she's
I've
had her voice back.
changed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole thing with, was it Lion? Is it
Lion.
Lion? Do you say it
Yeah.
Lion?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to barf. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. This isn't
Mm-hmm.
just the fact that this is like you're sleeping with a married man. You're sleeping with your best friend's married husband,
Mm-hmm.
man. Like, what is wrong with you?
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, as soon as she did that, she was done for me. I was like,
It's the Neely show. That's it.
you're sick.
Mm-hmm.
And and then when we get the final like 3 paragraphs of the book, I was like, you know what? I wonder how much of that was her. I mean, it's a, you know, it takes two to tango. But like, I wonder at what point did he suggest? Did he put the nugget? You know, who prompted that? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's clear that he doesn't give a rat's batoot about his marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm getting really heated.
I know. Let's
I'm
change the
getting
subject.
really
I
upset
know.
about these characters. And it's funny, and that's why I gave it 5 stars, because this book is so incredibly, like, it's so densely packed with so many topics. I mean, we could sit here and talk for days.
I'd
And
be.
it's
But
like a
yes, go ahead and
soap
talk.
opera. It is like a soap opera.
Yeah.
Andy is 100% nail on head soap opera, because it is. It's like, it reminds me of like not Days of Our Lives. What's the other one?
I mean, there's a lot of them.
Young and the Restless.
One life to live. I mean,
Nikki and Victor. That's what I see there. Anne and Lionberg. It's Nikki and Victor, because it's just so. It's like they're passionate when they're together, but they suck when they're apart. They're just so terrible to each other. Yeah. Anywho, um. So Neely, I think you want to like root for her because she's like this spunky kid and whatever else, but then like as she starts to destruct, you're like, you know what? The signs were all there.
oh, 100%.
All of the ingredients were there that any of these things being introduced, she would just chop anything to impress anyone. She just wants to impress people. She wants to be on top. She wants to show everyone how great she is.
She's got to be the star.
Yeah.
As soon
And
as,
she was so vile at the end.
well,
She was that original, that Helen Lawson. She was Helen Lawson. Oh my goodness.
for me, I got her number immediately. Like, yeah, she was very naive and kind of like, gee willikers. And it was like, yeah, kid, you need to calm down. Like, can you sit down for a second? Does somebody have a pill for this kid? Ironic. But like, really, it was like, calm down, you puppy. But as soon as she was like meeting Helen and she saw Helen and she was so disparaging about how old she was and talentless and out of shape and everything, like just thinking it's Ethel Merman, you know. As soon as she started banging that,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you're gonna be this. There you are. You're one note. You're gonna be the star, and that's it. And you're gonna turn into this person, and you're gonna be so horribly nasty, and you don't care about anybody else. Immediately, I was like, okay, I'm done with this character.
Yeah,
Right from the jump, I didn't like her, and I couldn't stand her. I continued not to stand her. I was like, oh, maybe you have hope. Like I said, when she got treatment, I was like, maybe she'll turn it around. Nope. Let's double down and make it worse.
Yes.
Yep.
How much responsibility do you think she should take for her own downfall?
Like 95%.
Yeah, like all of it. I think, and the reason I say that is because you are still responsible for yourself. You are still responsible for what you consume. You are still responsible for how you treat people. You are still responsible for how you conduct your life. yes, are you pre-positioned to be more susceptible to influence? Sure. That's many people who have addiction issues, they usually have some kind of trauma that they're dealing with. So they are more susceptible to taking something or doing something in their life that helps like dull down those traumatic things, right? It happens with all of us. Something we want to, stuff down there, get rid of. We use something, whether that be drugs, alcohol, food, running, reading, anything, any kind of escapism. It could be for a form of an addiction. But we are still responsible for ourselves. We still can say no.
We still live in a
still
world.
can turn everything around. We still can be good to people. We can still be good to ourselves. So, yeah, I'd say 100%. But I'll give her the benefit of the doubt and say 99.
Yeah. Yep.
Did she sabotage her own relationships? Yeah, I think that's true, because when she's young and she's with Mel, which was so cute, but I was like, that's never gonna last.
No, she's 17. Like, I was like, girl.
Yeah, I know. She was so young, and like, I'm like, oh, this poor guy. But she sabotaged that because it was like, what's a bigger and better thing? And when she was with her second husband, she sabotaged that by not being basically
Conscious?
awake. Yeah, conscious, aware.
Mm-hmm.
She was just completely
present in any way. She just wasn't. I mean,
drunk
but
and
I know,
sleeping all the time, and
right. Like with Judy Garland, too, all day long, all you have is yes men, studio men, all these people kissing her butt, getting her everything she wants, make sure she is the star, and she knows she is the star, so she can get anything. What do you need? And I can do the blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's all it was. So she'd come home, and her husband was just, a regular person who wasn't like, let me get you something, darling, like, oh, the twins have this or whatever. I mean, nope, she didn't care. She knows who she is. She is Neely.
Yeah, so
okay, girl.
And like, I mean, there are certain things that his character said that I feel were like, in a marital relationship, I don't think it's fair to use sex as your defining feature of marriage. I think there's a lot more to it. I mean, it is a part of it, and it is important, but I don't feel like it's the defining factor.
Well, no.
Because, say for instance that you're in a car accident and you lose your like feeling of your lower extremities and you cannot perform those acts anymore. Is that like, okay, now we get divorced because we don't do that? Some do. But that's why I don't believe it's a defining factor. I think marriage is more than just that. And I felt like his character really made it all about that when he was like basically saying like, this is why this isn't going to work and I'm leaving you. Because like, you're too busy and drunk to have sex. Like, that's kind of like what I felt like his whole argument was. And I was like, that's not even, I think you have a little bit more you could be saying right now. You don't have to say that. You could say, you're never here. You neglect the children. You neglect me, like, emotionally.
Yeah,
like,
you're ripped off your face all the time.
I don't know why it always had to come down to the sexual side of it. But that was the author's choice to use that, and that's what we have. So but I think it was also kind of showing how I feel like this author really doesn't like men very much. Because none of the male characters are good. The only good male character in this entire book, and is he really a great character, is Henry Bellamy, the boss guy. But even him, like, he keeps stuff from Anne. Like he should tell her certain things. And then he also enables her all the time. But anyways, we'll get to that in a minute here. But yeah, Neely, my least favorite character. But I did feel bad. I did
Yeah.
feel sympathy for her situation because like I mean she was really stripped of a lot of her youth, her enthusiasm and just everything. She just kept like diving off the deep end. And I think it was interesting that George Bellows' character made a really good point. He had said something about it doesn't matter how many times she falls, she will always be able
Right.
to come back. She will always be able to make a comeback. And I was like, gosh, that's so true. That is so true with certain like celebrities. You love seeing them fall. That's half of their celebrity is seeing them fall and like seeing how they're gonna make a comeback. What are they gonna do this time? You know, like it's disgusting how our celebrity has become this just disgusting demon fueled just it's so gross. And it's funny because I feel like for me personally, when I was in high school, I wanted to go into journalism as a tabloid journalist. I wanted to like get into all this like stuff with celebrities and
Right.
movies and all this. And as I was going to college, I was like, I don't want to do that. And then as I continued to grow up, I really phased out of really caring about any of that.
But that's how that whole
Because
time was. That was such a big thing at that time, is to do all
yeah.
that stuff. And like the cult of celebrity in the early 2000s, that was the thing that was like the biggest thing culturally. It was bigger than sports or anything else.
Hmm.
That was what everybody
Hmm.
talked about, was celebrities and ups and
Yeah.
downs and Paris Hilton and partying and sex tapes and what.
Yeah, well, and
But that was
reality
the thing.
TV
Yep,
became such
that
a big
started.
thing, and the
Yeah, that was the thing.
Kardashians, and I never really got into them, but
No, me either.
um,
But yeah, that was the thing then.
yeah,
Hmm.
I think
I
I
wasn't
fell
doing.
out of it because I was just like, this has no effect on my life.
Mhm.
Why was I so interested in it?
Mhm.
And even now today, like I find myself very like I question things. Like I don't like to like really give my loyalty to certain celebrities 'cause I'm like, I don't
Mhm.
know. You never know these days, like where their passions lie
Right.
or are they really a bigot under
Mhm.
all of those, city lights. So it's like I'm very like I like Brendan Fraser,
Mhm.
and I like Tom Holland and Zendaya, and like
Mhm.
I call it a day because everyone else I'm not sure about.
Mhm.
So but yeah, so anyway, so as we've been kind of going, we've been kind of identifying like who these people kind of may be in real life because it is pretty well known fact that the book is kind of based on these real people.
Yeah.
She makes a comment that like you keep saying it is, and that makes it keep being read, so you do what you would do with it, but if you take a look, I mean this could be anybody, but I
Mhm.
mean it really when you read Neely, that is Judy Garland to a T.
Right.
Like, um, and I'm not sure specifically who the Jennifer North character could be, but I imagined um, like a Marilyn Monroe or what's the really famous? I don't think it matches very well, but just the beauty side of it. The Marissa Hargitay's mother.
Oh,
Uh, what's her name?
oh my God.
She had huge kazongas. And that was like what she was most known for. But she's one of the smartest people. She's like
Yeah.
a musician and like all these things in the back end. And I know it's so bad
Jane
because I think they
Mansfield?
just what's that?
Jane Mansfield?
Yes.
Okay.
Um, I think of her just because of the beauty side, but not the like she was super smart. She was super intelligent. I don't know if you know that. Like she was very intelligent. She was a piano player. She was loved her children. I mean,
Yeah.
was a very, very not Jennifer North character, but it just made me think of like the known for beauty kind of thing. That that starlet kind of thing. So as we move on into our next character, Anne, and I feel like Anne, from what I read about the author, I feel like Anne is more our author
Mm-hmm.
in the book. But how did she change from the beginning to the end of the novel?
She
Or
started out hating
maybe
her.
what was your first
Yeah.
impressions of her and how that changed?
I mean, waspy, wanted to get away from the waspiness of her life. And then she ended up wanting that in the end anyways. So it was like, that was a turn. But that happens to a lot of people too. You grow up, you think you don't want this thing. It was so terrible. But then it's not that bad. Once you see the world and you grow up and you experience life and you go, this isn't maybe the worst thing. And also times still change, even though there's still stability and things don't change that much sometimes. Times still do change. So this starts in the 40s. The book is mostly set in the 40s. And then like the second half is like into the 50s and just a little bit into the 60s. That's a big those are big cultural shifts in that time too. And I thought that was interesting that she hated it so much. And then she wanted to kind of have that stability of life, whatever. It was nice. I appreciated Anne's character, not only because she was like the only person we really basically heard from the book. It wasn't, but like it's like 75% Anne, it seems like. And it was nice to have a touchstone of somebody who was mature enough in a lot of ways that you could trust her. Um, but also you could get to know her faults a little bit too. So like she was totally blind with Lion. There's no way she would have ever not been with him if she had the opportunity, obviously. And she did move on and live her life and had other affairs with not wonderful people. But she was just always somebody like, okay, here we go. We've got Anne again. So you kind of know what you're getting. And I appreciated her because she was grounded in a way. But she just sort of, I don't know, she felt the most realistic to a certain extent, leaving out her love life. Because that's, because she went to the city and she wanted to get a job and she got a job doing what she wanted to do. And then she moved up and kind of found her way. And then she meets this weird guy who gives her this job that changes her life. And she becomes this model essentially and does commercials. And so she kind of makes her own way. I mean, I know men give her all the ins and everything because men run everything, but like she figures out her own stuff and she does kind of come around and grow up and realize she wants to get married. She wants a kid and she gets married and she has a kid. So like she's the most traditional of all of them. And like I said, I appreciated her. I'm going to say again, maturity to a certain extent, love life. But that's also kind of realistic too. I know you've known lots of people too who fall in love with somebody at some point when they're younger. And then they keep kind of coming back to them or like that person never really leaves them. And you're like, this person sucks. Can you just please let it go? Like he's been married 3 times. He has like 4 kids with 4 different people. Like he's not the stable person you were looking for that you think he is. Like, please stop. But nope. So I was like, yeah, I know this person too. Like, okay, fine. I get it. So, I mean, I appreciated her. It's frustrating watching someone do that with all of her love life, all these disruptive things. I don't think it was necessarily fair when she was with, is it Kevin? She was with Kevin Gilmore. She didn't treat him very fairly, but also Kevin was.
Well, I think he was fine until the until the end.
Like,
when he just couldn't shut his effing mouth.
No, like so dramatic and like I'm leaving, and then he'd show up an hour later crying.
And you realize at this point he's like 63 years old.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know. I
Yeah.
was like, my
I know.
dude, come on,
Calm down, dude.
I know,
Just
and also
chill.
like maybe this is just me being a Taurus. Maybe this is just me being like pretty blunt about a lot of stuff because I appreciate when people can be straightforward with me and tell me things. Like you don't have to be a jerk about it, but just be like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but you have something in your teeth. Like just tell me. It's perfectly fine. I don't care. If I'm missing something big, or like, I want someone to tell me. So I want to be like, Anne, girl, you know you're not going to stick with him. Just be like, Kevin, my dude, it's been great. And I care for you a lot, but I'm always going to love lions, so I'm going to leave. And I have no ill will towards you. Thank you so much, but I'm leaving. So goodbye. And then just cut it off and that's it. And not back and forth and walking past our apartment building all the time because I don't know what to do. I know but lions over there. Wanted to slap her so badly. So much. Her love life just makes me insane. But again, I appreciated her. I know I could rely on her to have some perspective on things. I really like how much she helped Neely and was really there for her. And she was a friend, even though Neely did not recognize or see or want or notice if she was even capable of doing that. I don't know. But, you know, beyond Neely's grasp, she was a decent friend. She was a decent friend to Jennifer. I think she was as good of a mother as she could have been for the time period and her lifestyle to her daughter. And based on her income and all the other stuff and whatever, I think she did an okay job of the three of them. Yeah, I don't know. She's all right.
She's like a ham sandwich. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
She reminds her
It's always
character
fun.
yeah, her character reminds me of the Kate Winslet character in The Holiday,
Yeah,
where you
I
have
can see
this
that.
unrequited love and you're so in love with this person. It doesn't matter what they do and you're going to do anything for them and they're going to still screw you in the end, and not in a
Yep.
good way. And then when they need something, you're going to drop everything and
Mm-hmm.
just be with them.
Oh, I'll help you,
And
Jasper.
like Jasper,
Mm-hmm.
effing Jasper with
Mm-hmm.
your roaming eye, you weirdo.
You know.
So here's the thing with Anne. Anne. So when we first meet Anne and we get our lovely 162 pages of Anne,
I know.
I'm like, this broad.
Does
I'm
this
like,
end?
what's I felt like life just happened to Anne.
Yeah.
She doesn't actually do anything except show up
Mm-hmm.
in her life. She doesn't do anything
That's
to
fair, yeah.
push the dial forward. She
Mm-hmm.
literally lets things happen to her. So the only thing she does is move to New York and go on the interview. That's
Right.
the only thing that she actively does to change any trajectory of her life. Because this is legit what happens. She gets the job and she really likes it, so she wants to keep it. And then she meets this Alan character, and he's like,
I forgot about him. Oh my God.
whatever. And so she's just gonna go out with him, but in her mind, they're not dating. But she's going to let him take her out because she feels bad for him. So when he gets the idea that they've actually been dating and getting to know one another, and yes, he had his own motives behind that, and that's super skeezy, and he was a something. You cannot tell me that he had the wrong idea.
Right.
You allowed him to date you for like, what was it, 6 weeks?
At
He
least.
took you out like every night for 6 weeks, and that's not dating? You're just friends? You're just friendly?
Mm-hmm.
Girl,
I had forgotten all about that whole relationship. I'm not
say
kidding.
no. No, thank you,
Yeah.
Alan. I'm not interested in you that
Right.
way. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
So then when that all happened, and then when he just never took no as the answer, that was irritating. And but I get it. But then when Henry, or is it Harry, or it's Henry,
Henry.
Bellamy says, "We'll just stay engaged during however long, so that we get like publicity or whatever,
Yeah.
and just keep holding him off. Just keep holding him off." I'm just like, what's wrong with these people? What is wrong with
Money.
all of everyone? Gino, Alan,
Yep.
Adele, all these people, what's wrong with you?
Yep.
She said, no, we're not getting engaged. Oh, yes, you are. No, we're not. Yes, you are. No, we're not. Yes, you are. Oh my gosh. I was
Yeah.
like, how
Here,
long
have
is
this
this
10-carat
sequence?
ring. No, thank
How
you.
long is this sequence going to continue?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, of course, uh, oh, you don't love me because you're frigid. Oh, I love that as the thing. You know, that was always in high school, you know, if you were a prude if you didn't have sex, you were a slut if you had sex. It was like, can we all
There's no
just get
winning.
off of this?
Yeah.
You know, you're all dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all dumb. So she just let that happen to her. Like, and I'm not trying to be like she's a product of the society, the male, the patriarch. It's a product of patriarchy,
Mm-hmm.
basically. Female,
They
she
all
has
are.
no
Yeah.
action. She can't do anything. But anyways, but we're just talking about her character. So she just let that happen. She just was like, okay, fine. I'll just stay engaged to this doofus and then continue to go out with him every single night and be, you know, photographed and go to these different things and these different functions and wear the ring. And then when she goes to New Haven and Lion is there, and then she basically cheats on Alan with Lion, which you could argue that is she cheating on someone because she doesn't really feel like she's engaged to Alan. She's just playing a part essentially. But so she does that, and then she does immediately go and cut things off with
Mm-hmm.
Alan because she feels like she's gonna move forward with Lion, and they do, and then he like just drops her like an old habit, like cold turkey too, like just
Yeah.
leaves.
One phone call. Okay, goodbye.
It was like the Post-it note episode of
Mm-hmm.
Sex and the City. It was just like, bye.
Mm-hmm.
And then for 15 years, she like basically almost waits for him. So again, I
Yeah.
just feel like she's super lazy. She just lets everything happen to her. So he's gone. She mourns it. She sees a few guys here and there, but she doesn't really date anyone. And then this Kevin guy comes and says, "Is that your real hair?" And then she gets this whole deal of being a commercial model. And she's not even really into it, but it's a job and she's good at it and she gets stuff and her and Kevin, you know, they're like an item, but I mean, she feels for him and like whatever else and but they never get married and he's older and when she does broach the idea of marriage, her heart's not even in it. It's just more or less just like the next step maybe and
Mm-hmm.
then he's like, "Oh no, no." And then when she sees Lion again after 15 years, it's like no time has passed. And at that point, I decided all of that I just said. Because I thought she's going to have this character arc. And at the time that she meets Lion, like, sure, she talks to him in her dressing room. And then I thought she was going to do what she said she was going to do and completely ignore him. Because, yeah, she saw him after all this time and she
Yeah.
should have realized in 15 years that he is a total D-bag.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't. She just falls in his arms and it's like, "Oh, of course I love you and you love me and let's get together." And then he literally tells you, "Oh no, honey. I'm just here for 6 weeks. I'm going back to London. This will never work." At that moment, she should have realized that he is worthless piece of shit.
I know. There's that saying, when people tell you who they are, you should listen to them. It was like that was the most obvious, blatant for him. There were lots of other signs, like the 15 years of silence. But yeah, I know.
Like I thought at that moment she was gonna have her like come to Jesus moment. Like, oh my gosh, everyone has been right about this. Like everyone for the last 15 years, they've been right. you're full of shit. Like, and she doesn't.
Mhm.
She's completely, it's like she wasted 15 years because she didn't want to be with Kevin. She never
No.
wanted to be with Kevin. She just was lazy. So she was just like, I'm never gonna find anyone like Lion. So this guy is good enough because he takes me out and I don't have to do as much, you know, I don't have to lie on my back as much because I don't really want to do that with him anyways. So you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
lazy. Lazy. Lazy character. She is lazy. I don't know. I can't say it in any other way. She's
Mhm.
lazy. So my I don't feel like she changed at all from the beginning of the book to the end. And I was surprised. I thought she was gonna be doll free the entire book. I
Mm.
really did. And I was real surprised at the end that she started to do that. But I think the point of that is that it all comes to like in this industry, in this world, and it's like it catches up with you at some point.
Mm.
Because for her, and it was the same for the other two, but for her, it's just dulling the senses. It's just escaping reality.
Mhm.
It's just like her life she saw a life that she thought she was having and that's not the life she had and she's just dulling it, getting rid of it, putting it behind her. And thankfully for her, because I do feel like she was the best mother
Mhm.
because she did actually care for her child, she did whatever. I feel like she probably, I mean, but we only just saw the beginning of her journey with those. So, I mean, who knows? It could get worse as time
Yeah.
goes. Because once you start taking them, you need more.
Yep.
I don't know. So, her character was so lazy. She really made me
Mhm.
mad. I really thought that because she was still young, even though it had been 15 years, she was still young. So she did have a baby, but she could have completely wiped her hands of Lion and found somebody else who was worth it and had a baby with them
Right.
and had a life with them. And instead, I think Lion was like, "Sure, I'll marry her. I'll marry this broad. She's a millionaire. I got money in the bank and I can go do whatever I want
Mhm.
because she's never going to let me go because she's so in love with me that she can't imagine a life without me. So now I have my cake and I can eat it too."
I had a friend like that in college, in high school. Sorry, who married somebody, and she was just in love with this d bag, and everyone was like, "Why? Why? What are you doing? Fucking leave him." And she would not. He slept around on her all the time. She had married to him, like infuriating to watch. So I had to just opt out, and I couldn't take her friendship anymore. I couldn't because I couldn't watch it anymore. It's like, okay, I can't. It happens all the time. Oh, but we have a kid. So your kid deserves to know a happy marriage and what a relationship looks like, or not, or whatever it is. But your kid knows what's up. The kids know there's something wrong. The kid doesn't deserve that crappy thing. Marriage is not this be all end all. I know I'm not married, but you know what I mean? Like individual, your happiness and peace and getting through life without stress and craziness and making yourself cry and anger and fighting and all this stuff, that's not worth living. Like, take care of yourself, take care of your family. Do you know what I mean? There's got to be some breaking point where you're like, I'm not doing this anymore. And for my friend, at least, I don't know if she ever got that. I left because I couldn't. But it was that's abusive. But oh, but I love him. Okay, congratulations. He's making you miserable and you're so unhappy. He's not in your life. He's not really present. Like, what are you, Anne? What are you doing? Anne, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah, she just yeah.
did
I
not get
just
it.
don't.
Like, nope.
And like you said in the beginning, like she was like the most mature seemingly, of
Mm-hmm.
all of them, because she like had a head on her shoulders. She knew she wanted to move to New York. She knew she wanted to get a job. She knew she wanted to work for her money. She didn't want to like
Right.
marry into money. She was willing to work for it, and she was
Mm-hmm.
smart about it, and she invested, and she, you know, like even in the very beginning, she's like, I'm not going to touch this $5,000 that I have.
Right.
And that, she just, it was like, what is going on? She was so headstrong as far as like being independent, but was she? Because
Yeah.
relying so heavily on the love of this D bag, and everyone from the get-go was like, don't,
Mm-hmm.
just don't. He's not, he's not good. He
Mm-hmm.
is a rake. Do not go
Mm-hmm.
there. And she went there, and she went there, and she went there, and she went there, and she went there.
Yeah. I think
Um,
too, like, because I don't know if there's going to be a question coming up or not, because I know we always got to have track for everything. Oh, low power mode. Let me find my plug. Like regarding sex in this book, I really think that Anne was demisexual or asexual for the most part, because she only enjoyed sex or cared about sex or anything romantic with Lion, a certified D-bag. And all the other guys, like you said, just kind of lazy, just not there. She'd have sex with them, but not really. And okay. It was just never, she's not interested in that. Just not at
well, at
all.
first I thought that she was going to be a lesbian because she was
Right.
so like offended by men
Yeah.
kissing her. She was just
Yeah.
like, it's gross, they're slimy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was
Mm-hmm.
literally like I think the word slimy was used, and I was like,
Yes,
maybe
it was.
you don't like men. Like,
Yeah.
maybe that's what it is. And I was kind of hopeful. I was like, oh, maybe this is gonna be one of those revolutionary books. And it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really sucked for her character because I think she was so adamant about lying because it was the only man that she felt anything for.
Yeah.
But to be fair, she didn't really let anyone else in.
No.
It's like as soon as she found one guy that was doing it for her, that's the
Mm-hmm.
only one she had in her scope. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing was too, and I think this is very true, and I think this is very true for young people in general. Usually, what I have seen for especially myself, this is from personal experience, you want what you can't have.
Mm-hmm.
You pine for people who are unattainable, whether that be because they're with somebody else, whether they're not interested, what you know what I mean? Like, like when someone like says no to you, in most cases, because we've been taught through rom-coms and all these things, is to try harder
Mm-hmm.
or change yourself so they like you better, so I feel
Yeah.
like I get her. I get where she's coming from because I feel like I've seen it in friends and family and myself where when you've been rejected, you tend to try harder. You
Right.
tend to like want that person more because what do they like about me? I can change because it's like they become more like you want them more. It's so bizarre. I don't know what it is. And I
Yeah.
know from personal experience, I've been in situations where things haven't worked out and then I'm like devastated, not now, obviously I'm married, but you're devastated and then you think of all the things you did wrong or what you could have done better. And in reality, it's like, well, maybe there's something wrong with them. You know,
Mhm.
it wasn't right because of whatever, but like, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It just
Right.
doesn't work out. It's just whatever. Like, I think back of like all the people that I've dated or wanted to date, and I'm like, I cannot believe
Mm-hmm.
people that I thought one were good for me, were attractive, were like had something going for themselves. Some of them just like, oh my God,
I
like,
know.
ew, gross. So,
Yep.
anyways, yeah. So I think that's a part of it too, is like because he was so nonchalant about their love and that he felt it was so easy to just leave her. I feel like that like really in the psyche was like, I want him even more because like why
Right.
doesn't he want, like why won't he stay? Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe if I show him I want him more and more, and then the whole like how she bought the company and then he finds out, and
Yeah.
because that's like, so that's um what's the word, it's like demoralizing to him as a man because he because that Henry kept saying like, oh no, he needs to be able to pay his own way. Well, yeah, he should.
Right.
Well, then he should figure it out
Mm-hmm.
and stop being such a child about everything.
Right.
But yeah, anyways, we are almost to an hour and a half here, so I want to kind of slide past these other questions I had on Anne because we kind of talked about the majority of them. And we kind of we mentioned this briefly, like which of the three women did we empathize with the most? Honestly, for me, it was Jennifer.
Yeah, me too.
And I think we can go through the last two. Is this novel ultimately about fame, addiction, friendship, or something else entirely?
I don't know. I think it's about all of them. I mean, it is, but it depends on what you want to look through, what glasses you want to look through. Because we've talked about all of these things. Like, yeah, if you look at it through fame, it is about fame and how it can be so destroying and how crappy. I mean, I know that things are not all roses and wonderful now in Hollywood, but it's a lot different than it used to be in a lot of ways. I don't think there's that same culture of like uppers and downers. And like, I don't think Judy Garland would happen again necessarily. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a bigger machine. It's not just like 3 or 4 big players. And it's not, there's so many moving parts and so many people involved in so many things. I think it will be different. So that is like fame and how it affects you. Absolutely. We're talking about like relationships with like romantic relationships. That's a whole other wax I don't want to get into again. Addiction, like how it easy is to become addicted to things and what leads people to become addicted sometimes based on circumstances of like their upbringing, based on trying to get through a rough patch, like Jennifer, who's just trying to sleep, or Anne, who's just trying to get through the days at the end of a life or it seems like the end of her life because she seems so much older than she is, like 35 or whatever. Like, just to try and function of all the decisions she's made. So like how the addiction finally gets her. Friendship, they all suck. But, Anne does try, especially with Neely. So like talks about all different kinds of friendship and how things can shift and overlap over the years. I mean, it could be about anything.
Yeah, I think in general, I mean, like you said, I think it depends on what lens you're looking through. I definitely think has a strong feminist like underlying kind of story too. Like
Mm-hmm.
how are the gender roles
Yeah.
important here? Because I think every man, like all these women were used
Mm-hmm.
completely for their gender, their looks, their what they could do to
Right.
benefit a man's life
Make
in
money,
a
help
man's
people.
world through a man's lens.
Yes.
So I think like if I were to say like, oh, I'm a professor at a college and we're going to talk about this book, it could be a 6 week class
Mm-hmm.
because we could spend a week on gender roles. We could spend a week on addiction. We could spend a week on trauma. We could spend, you know what I mean, all these things. And I think an underlying item that I feel happens with each of these women because it affects their friendships, their relationships with men, their relationships with their family, is that idea of self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of the decisions that one makes depends on how they view themselves. And do they put themselves first? Do they put others first? Do they take care of themselves? I feel like that's a huge like underlying theme in this book is what is the self-worth of
Mm-hmm.
our characters because that I feel is the negotiating factor of how they interact with the dolls. Because I feel like Anne has a lot of self-worth unless Lion Burke is in the room.
Right.
And I feel like had she not let him back into her life, she never would have touched the dolls.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Because I feel like she would have just continued to like lazily glide through life. She was taken care of. She probably could have retired as a Gilmore girl and just like whatever and just had tea and whatever and maybe she would have ended up doing dolls because like, well, everyone does it and I'm just gonna sit here and smoke my cigarettes and have my dolls and whatever. But you know, with the other two, because their trauma was so much more aggressive and in their face. I mean, they didn't have like I feel like Anne always had like a good cushion to fall back on. Like she had money that if something were to happen, she could fall back on something. Whereas like Jennifer, she had to like go out with men so she could get clothes. She had to go out with men so she could get a new mink coat because she was sending all of her money to her parent, to her mother. They kept saying, "Oh, Jennifer never has any money. She always buying clothes." No, she's not.
Right.
She's sending all her money to her mother, and then she's getting clothes by having relations with dudes. And then Neely, she just wants to find love, and hers is the love of the masses, the love of the Hollywood lights, the love of the stardom. And she doesn't have anything else to fall back on. I mean, she got money through that, but then towards the end, she has nothing, no money to her name at all. I mean, Anne paid for her to go to the sanatorium. So their worth, their ability to even take care of themselves was on how much they could offer through beauty and talent. So yeah, I mean, the novel, I don't think you can pinpoint it as one thing. I think it's all the things. And they all interact. I think they're all part of each other. And then the last question that I have for us that's more of a specific question. If this novel was published the first time today, what aspects would feel timeless and what would feel outdated?
I mean, aside from the language, which of course it's a product of its time, it is what it is. Like, and I'm sure like in 60, 70 years, people will look at stuff now and be like, I can't believe they used the word rainbow or whatever the hell it is. Like, who knows what the problem is now. Yes, we know what some problems are, but you know what I mean? Like something will seem outdated and will be an offensive slur because someone will make some other crap up. It's people, right? It's human race, fine. So leaving out the language part, I think it would be similar in some ways. It would be, I mean, with the fame part, it would be similar in some ways. Like trying to work hard to get places, you kind of have to have an in. You have to get an in somehow, it seems to be. Whether that's talent or looks or who you're sleeping with, like that seems not to have changed terribly too much. Percentages, maybe, but with technology, it would be a really different ballgame too. You know what I mean? That would change everything because everything in here is done by personal visits, walking over to have someone sign a contract, having meetings face to face, as everyone's in the same town, generally speaking, for what they're doing. That would be totally different because everything is just, oh, I'll text you, I'll send this thing, I'll do this, blah, blah, blah. So that would be a different part of it. Relationship wise, I think that may not have changed. Like romantic relationships, that might not change too much because we've been talking all night about how we know people or we have done things or have seen things or like other movies or whatever of all these repeated bad decisions for whatever reasons, how people do these things, how you behave. That may not be a huge change. I don't know. I think you could point out like if it was to be redone again and you looked at the book as a song, I think the baseline that like same pulse would be here for this book, you could still be like, oh yeah, this is definitely an homage to Valley of the Dolls. Even though the melody and the harmony and all the instrumentals, they would be different and they might look different, that baseline would still be there. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it would be interesting to see. I would not personally read it, but I know you would read it and you would tell me about it, and that's fine. So there are timeless parts to it, but this is also very much a product of the 60s. I mean,
Yeah.
it just very
Well,
much.
I mean, I think it's like a snapshot
Yeah.
because she very clearly demonstrated what was happening in show business, in the entertainment industry
Right.
during that time. So it is
Right.
it's very like documentary like
Yeah.
of
From the
like
war
this was
on.
what's happening, this is what happens to women basically in this industry. You have to have X, Y, and Z to make it, and these are the men that are pulling all the triggers. And I think we saw a lot, a couple years ago, all this expose about you know these men preying on young actresses and news anchors and all of these things for them to even, oh, you're gonna be able to do this and this and this, but you got to sleep with these people or me or whatever it may be, and that's not the 60s. That's 2006 or whatever,
Yeah.
2016. I mean, all these things, these are things that have been happening constantly over and over again. Lady Gaga, her whole backstory, and it's it's something that I think still happens, and whether we hear about it or not, whether we know about it or not, I think that is that baseline, that timelessness of this book, because I feel like there's always predator and prey when it comes to this industry and industries like it, where when you walk into it, you only have yourself to offer, and the people who are there are pulling all the strings. They have all of the power, so that power dynamic. But the outdated part, I think, is very much the language, specifically regarding the reference to the homosexual males in this book. I And the thing is it was very odd because I feel like it was literally in the very first like 20 pages, it was overused
Yeah.
so much. And then we don't hear it like throughout the rest of the book until like one time. It's like used twice and then that's it. And the thing that gets me is when I first read it, I was like, "Oh, yikes. Oh, okay. Product of its time." But then I realized later, I'm like, "No, but it's being used derogatory. It's being used as like a slur. So it's known that it's not even, I mean, so even being used, it's not like it's like, oh, well, that was just a term that was used. No, it is being used as like a bad word, a bad reference." And I'm like, so you still even put it in there. And that irked me. That I did not appreciate that. And I don't feel like it was proper, but I understand the product of its time kind of thing, but it did really bother me. So I was glad that it like stopped at some point, and then it only happened like twice more, because in the beginning I was like, I'm about to DNF this, because like I was telling you separately, I feel like it was in one sentence like four times. And I
Yeah.
was like, why is this it's like being excessively overused
It's like
within
when like
very
kids are
short
swearing.
periods.
Yeah, it's like when a kid is swearing and they can't stop saying the swear word, whatever new word they just heard, can't stop, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. So that definitely, I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
okay. So I mean, you see certain words that are used in like classic books, and you're like, oh, yikes. But they don't know, it's not yet a derogatory term. It's not yet a slur. It's not yet the bad word that we know it becomes.
Right. Sometimes it's not a kind word. It's just used as a descriptive word, and it's supposed to be a neutral word, even though it's now not a neutral word. So even that sometimes too is like, okay, all right, maybe. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a product of its time. But I was like, the characters knew they were using a word that was like still like rude.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh my gosh. this is really annoying. But then I was thinking too, like, and I know that it's very common that in the theater there usually are there's a mixture of gender and sexuality and everything. We've known that forever. So like, but I was just surprised that it was even referenced in this, and I was surprised that she had a lesbian kind of interaction in there too. I was like, wow, this, I mean, I thought it was a little bit revolutionary because I was like, I mean, I don't know how many books during this time like had that.
Right.
And people weren't like shock and awe, you know? So, well, what's going on is we're just about to finish our live discussion, but thanks so much for popping in again. It's nice to see you. We just finished our discussion on our book of the month. So we read Valley of the Dolls this month. And that was pretty much the end of it. That was the last question.
Yeah.
Andy, yes, I was like surprised. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm always pleased. I'm always super happy when there's something like that in there, because to me that feels normal. Like that's like, to me, diversity in sexuality and everything feels normal to me in a book, because I feel like that's what life is, even though some people like to pretend like that's not the world. To me, it feels good when there is a diverse like ensemble of people. I like when there's diverse sexuality. So for me, I was like, but that was very sad that it wasn't right. It wasn't right for her. Like she definitely is like people pleasing in that moment. So I felt bad for the other character because I was like, oh,
I know.
well, I mean, at least she tried it, I guess.
Yeah. What's weird for me is I had heard that like that was a larger part. Like, oh, there's like a lesbian scene in this book, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes me want to read it. Kind of like,
Yeah,
it's not
like,
just whatever. So
tell me
I was
more.
reading this, and I'm like, what are we getting here? Because like,
Yeah.
over halfway through.
Well, and it's funny too because when I was just like, I didn't read the back of the book, but I happened to pick it up when it was laying face down, and this big blurb on the bottom, it says one of the sexiest novels ever written.
I know.
And I was like, boy, I have read a lot of books. And I can tell you right now,
I know.
I don't think this is correct. And this is before I even started reading. But I do have to say, I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, I would say for the time, I would be like, this probably is one of the sexiest books they ever saw, you know? Other than Lady Chatterley's Lover, I mean...
Right. Clutch Your Pearls.
Yeah, there was quite a few scenes in there.
There were, but also, it's sort of it's over so quickly. It's always like, oh, here's a paragraph, here's a sentence, here's a couple pages. That's very true.
And Andy, so kind of totally derailing here. So we're totally getting off track. Laura and I are so desensitized to sex scenes that sometimes when people ask us for recommendations, we can't even tell you how spicy the book is because we are so desensitized to it that I'm like, I don't even remember if there's a sex scene in there.
No.
I don't think so. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I think there is. Is there? And then they read it and they come back to me like, whoa, like there's so much sex in there. I'm like, really? I don't remember.
I was because it's just what are you talking about?
It's like whatever. It's like normal. It's like get over it. Like move on. Like when everyone talks about how much sex is in Fourth Wing, I'm like, I think there's one sex scene in that book. Am I wrong? If anyone's read Fourth Wing recently?
Yeah.
Because I have a friend who, so really short story. I have a stepdaughter who was really into dragon books. How to Train Your Dragon is like her favorite movie growing up. And she really likes dragons. So it was like perfect. She was 17, Fourth Wing, Iron Flame was coming out, and there was Fourth Wing. And I was like, oh, I'll get her this book for Christmas. And I was telling a friend, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, there's so much sex in that book. There's so much sex in that book." And so I start freaking out because how awkward would it be to give a smut book to your stepdaughter? And I'm like freaking out. So I get the audiobook so I can listen to it quickly and check to make sure if it's bad. And then I read it and I was like, there's like one. I'm fairly certain there's one. It's like one sex scene, and it literally, I think, like they refer to female anatomy, like, which I think is a little bit. I think that should be not YA then, but tis whatever. You get to tell your kids what they get to read. But for me, I was just like, I think this is fine. But again, going back to me and Laura and I, totally desensitized. Like it doesn't even. And I'll share another funny story with you. The first time we found out how desensitized Laura is Laura tells me to watch Witcher. And I'm like, okay, I'll watch Witcher. I come back to her, I'm like, she's like, how'd you like it? I think I watched like 2 episodes. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to watch that anymore. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, Laura, there are so many boobs in that show. And like, don't get me wrong, boobs are fine. I like boobs. I have boobs. But when you're watching a show and you don't realize it, and then you're like, is this show all about boobs? Like, I don't understand. Like, is this all about boobs? There's so many boobs. It's all boobs.
And
it's like every boob under the sun. This is boobs.
Register.
And I tell her this, and she's like, really? And I was like, what do you mean? Really? She was so confused. She's like,
seriously?
Really? There's boobs in that show? And I'm like, Laura, I've watched 2 episodes. Because remember, then that's when I came over, and then we watched the whole series, and I was like, do you see all the boobs?
And I was like, oh yeah, there's boobs.
Look at that. There are a lot of boobs in this.
Did not register at all. Sincerely.
So that is how desensitized Laura and I are.
Bodies
like,
don't faze me.
Sex and sex scenes in art and like books and stuff. We're just like goes over our heads. We're
Andy,
so like
do it for science, Andy. It's fine.
For science, yeah.
That's
why I think too when people are talking about like if there's sex in a book, it should be smut. And I'm like, okay, so if there's a rape scene in a book, that's smut because you get plenty of literary fiction that you have all these terrible scenes, but that's okay to read. Like, give me a break. And those are things that I don't read. That's my one like, I'm not reading it kind of thing. And I mean I can't say I don't because obviously some of the books you don't know what's in there until it's in there and you're like, well, damn. And but a good one, they don't explain it all because that's not the point. The point is that it happened and then you move on from that and figure out, like the one I'm thinking of is when I picked Roundhouse and it's literally that's the whole point of the book. Which again proves the point that I never read the back of books when I pick them. Anywho, way off on a tangent. Needless to say, the book had a lot to talk about. And I think that for me, that's why I gave it 5 stars. Because if we can talk about all of these things, we're almost to 2 hours. I mean, I think that's fantastic. I think, especially for the time, it feels a little revolutionary for me just because of all the topics that she embraced and especially that it was so closely based on real people that that gave it a lot of its celebrity in itself. I think it said it sold over 31 million copies. I mean, since it's been published.
I have the 50th anniversary here. 31 million in 30 languages.
Yeah, I mean it's really good. I don't know that I'll watch any of the adaptations.
Oh, I watched the movie last night.
Oh, you did? Which
I
one?
didn't finish it. The big one from the 60s with Sharon Tate and everybody.
Yeah.
And I had to stop 3/4 of the way through because I couldn't take it anymore. It is so 1960s. It's set in the 60s. There's no 40s or 50s. It is so 60s, and that is not my favorite decade for a lot of things. Movies
I
being
don't like
one
it
of
for
them.
film. Yeah.
So it was like, oh my God, there were so many song and dance numbers that went on for like 5 full minutes. It's like I don't care. I don't care. There were very few scenes from what I saw. I'll watch the last half an hour in the next couple of days, so I'll see how it ends. But there were a couple of scenes that were almost verbatim from the book. So, like as an example, when Neely, you first really realized how effed up she is when she's in Hollywood, and she comes home to talk to Mel, and Jennifer's there, and like Jennifer and Mel were talking, and then Neely comes home, and Neely is just like ripping him a new one, and like Jennifer, blah, whatever. She just like unpeels her face. There are some lines that are verbatim from the book that Neely says that we're like, okay, wow, she's okay, that's correct. And the stuff with Lion and Anne, that's there, but like from what I remember, again, this is from last night. Now I could be fuzzy on these things. I am old, but like the 15 years between when she meets Lion and then she's a famous like advertised model, whatever the hell you want to call her, whatever Anne becomes, like that is told in a voiceover while she's strolling on the beach when she has met Lion again. Like, oh, in the last 15 years, I thought of Lion and blah, blah, blah. And here he, that's how she talks in the movie. Here he is. And it's like no time has passed. I was like, girl, come on. I mean, there's no Kevin really. I mean, there's a mention of a guy, and that's how she got this advertising thing. But that character doesn't exist. Like, Neely's whole thing being, I almost said lobotomized. No, institutionalized. Like not really showing up. She's kind of homeless and listless for a while, and she's gained 10 pounds, and she's so fat because they put like a little rubber tire around her middle. But I don't know. It was okay. It was okay, and I can see why they kind of zhushed it up for the 60s. But it is so campy, and I can't say I'd recommend it. If you're curious, watch it. It's not the worst thing I've seen, but not my jam.
Yeah. I probably won't watch it. It's not really, I don't really like that time
It's
era
free
for
on Prime
movies.
right now if you have Amazon Prime. So if you feel like checking it out and you have it, it's there. Just as an FYI.
Yeah. Okay. Well, other than that, trying to think if there was anything else that I wanted to do. I really thought she was going to end up with Bellamy. I thought that was good.
Yeah, that would have been
At the end,
nice.
like just been with him, even though he was much older than her. But she was with that Kevin, and I'm assuming Bellamy was like a similar, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I was very sad in that end scene when Lion and the new hot thing. I was like, oh, okay. So this isn't, he's always been like this. He's
Oh
always going to be
yeah.
like this. And she is just literally going to let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was like, when that happened, I thought she was going to be like, oh, okay, now I'm going to leave. And then she didn't. And I was like, yep, see, you're lazy. You're just, it's just, this is just ridiculous. And then, I can't with her anymore. I can't do it. So anyways, 5 stars. Okay, friends. I think we're going to call it a night. We have taken up too much of your time, but we very much appreciate you being here. Thank you, Allie, for watching us in replay.
Yes,
I hope
thank
you
you.
enjoyed yourself. And once you have finished the book, I hope that you got through it okay. Past that, we will see you next week. So next week it is, I think, what is that, the 4th?
Maybe?
Oh my gosh, I was correct. It's the 4th. So August 4th, we will be together here next week to start our reading sprints for the month. Again, that book that we're reading in August is, and I'll pull it up for you guys, it is Marjorie Morningstar by Herman. We're going to say Woke or Walk. We're not sure. But this is a book from the 1950s. So we're in our decade of the 50s. So that's what we'll start in August. So if you want to read that. But it's reading sprints, so you can read whatever you like. But we look forward to seeing you. Yes. Thank you so much. Yes, it'll be fun. So next week at 8 p.m. Central Time, we'll be here and we'll get our reading done. And who knows? Maybe I'll get my puzzle done.
I don't know.
So I came down here when we had to come down for the storm. I came down here and I started working on the western section because it's the last section on the side, and there's a tornado in the western in the western depiction. I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, so there's right there's a tornado.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that was funny. Well, not funny, but you know what I mean, ironic.
Yeah.
It's not ironic. It's really just a coincidence. But if Alanis Morissette can call everything ironic, I guess I can too. So, ooh, yay. Good for you.
Nice.
Nice. Okay, friends, we will see you next week. We look forward to it. And we hope that until then, you're doing something fun, keeping each other safe out there. Be careful of them storms. So, okie dokie, friends. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.